force anything, or should we just?
Yeah, the biggest thing I want to reinforce is with our recommendation, we are still going to require many of the social distancing and guidelines that we currently do in our schools, especially that of masks. We believe that masks is probably the number one reason why we are not seeing the spread from student to student in our buildings. And we will continue to have periodic mask breaks. We know that they are not comfortable, but we also understand that if that's what we have to do to get our kids back in school 5 days a week, it's a small price to pay for that. And so I want to stress that, and I probably should have stressed that a little bit more in our work session, but all of those social distancing and safety protocols that we have in place now are not going away. You know, we're just going to have to work through that challenge with a larger number of students in our buildings. But I do want to thank not only the board, I want to thank our staff, administration, teachers, and everybody. This has been a very, very challenging 6 to 7 months. It's challenged our leadership in the fact that there is no template for this, and it truly tests your leadership and decision-making ability, and you go off the information you have that day, and you make the decisions that we need to make with the eye on what is the best decision for our students in this district. And as long as we continue to look at that vision in that one sentence, what is the best for our students in this, with a great administrative team that I'm very fortunate to work with. I work with a lot of really good leaders.
And Mike, I just want to say, what you just said, you balance that with the word, Lauren and I have had long conversations with you in your office about professionalism. We approach everything in here. We're not going to make a decision just because somebody, wants something. We're going to take a look at everything on the table. And I just want the public to realize that, we are here to make a professional decision, not a rash decision. And that's what we've been trying to do to keep everyone safe.
And we have roughly 10,000 students in our district, and when you're making a decision that impacts that many people, the decision may not be the best decision for a small group of people, but we have to look at decision making based on what is the best decision for the critical mass, the mass majority of our 10,000 students. And that's what we've tried to do. We will continue with the Virtual Learning Institute. We know there's value there, and we know that there are certain situations in which that is a very, very viable and meaningful option for some of our students. For many of our students, they need to be back with us, and we need to give that opportunity for those students and parents as well.
And I think it is important that you are allowing parents to come back at the start of the second quarter, those who want to let their child come back and not make them sit out to the end of the.
Well, Steve, I will tell you this, is that I believe that, this is the first time we've started virtual learning, and we've gotten into that, and there's some positives and negatives that maybe we didn't know about. So if we did this the second time, we'd probably do it a little differently. But I also think that it's prudent decision-making to allow people to make that choice, even though we made them sign a contract, basically, to say they're there for the semester. Fair is fair and right's right, and what we want to do. Once again, what is best for our students?
Absolutely.
It comes back to that.
Absolutely.
And I'm not here to say I have all the answers, because I don't, but I know that I'm a pretty pragmatic person, and I have 2 sons of my own. And I look at that out of a lens of a parent as well as a superintendent, and I think that's really important.
And I do apologize. I skipped ahead. We need to approve the minutes from our last. Sorry about that.
I'll make the motion.
You'll make the motion.
I'll second.
Okay, we have first by Mr. Isgrove, second by Mrs. Baker. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Mr. Hancock, you want to recall it, or?
Yeah, you just did.
Okay, sounds good. Okay, we're going to move down to item 5, our consent agenda.
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
First by Mr. Isgrove, second by Mrs. Matthews. Any comments or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Hancock, can call the roll, please.
Mr. Isgrove.
Yes.
Mrs. Matthews.
Yes.
Mr. Sprague.
Yes.
Mr. Weigel.
Yes.
Mrs. Baker.
Yes.
Okay, item number 6, treasurer's report.
Mr. President, I have several items for you, and I just clicked something I shouldn't have clicked, evidently, because I lost that thing up there real quick, so let me get it back.
All those good things I said about you.
Yeah, you didn't say anything about my technology capabilities. That was a totally different matter. But the items I have for you tonight, item number 1 on that agenda from memory, I know, is TV Hamilton agreement. And we want to approve that agreement. And you've had your opportunity to review that. We do have confirming purchase requisitions and donations, which letters of appreciation have been prepared. And the final item would be financial reports. Tell me if I'm missing anything, because I'm doing this all from memory. And
You're doing a good job.
all right. The final item would be financial reports for the month of August. And if we want to put a motion and a second on the table, I'll discuss those with you quickly, and then we'll be done.
I will entertain a motion to accept the finance report.
Second.
Or you're the first.
I'll second that.
All right, there we go.
First by Mrs. Baker, second by Mr. Sprague.
The August
Sure,
financial,
yeah.
yeah, we'll talk about the August financial reports here for a minute, and then we'll take the roll call.
Okay,
But, so everybody knows, August is the second month in the fiscal year for a school district. We anticipated almost $18.6 million, I should say. We had 19 million, just over 19 million come in. 418,847 better than planned. Don't get excited. That's not necessarily the amount of additional money you would have in the bank, because the primary positive variance is in general property tax, $826,571 compared to estimate. And that's because we anticipated that we'd have about a 10% reduction in the second half settlement due to COVID. And one of the things we're finding out around the state is that's not happening. In fact, the collections came in countywide just slightly better, and I'll be looking at exactly how they came in for us in that September report. So I know I was on a Zoom meeting all day today with about 40 other treasurers on forecasting, and that was one thing that came out, is that the collections have been strong. And absent some kind of second economic wave or dip, we're not anticipating that being a problem. So that's good news, because we really did think it was going to be a problem. Now, over the entire forecast period, it doesn't change anything for us, because the assumptions we made had all that money coming back over the forecast period. It's just going to be some timing issues. So that's where your general property tax is a little bit different right now. It is slightly different than previous years, but again, you're in a collection process right now during July, August, and September, and you can't really tell until September when you see those numbers, and they'll become much more meaningful to you at that time. All other operating revenue running $340,000 lower than anticipated right now, but keep in mind, last month I mentioned we had Medicaid funding of about $429,000. We're anticipating to come in. We're waiting on that check, so that's going to take care of that variance when that does show up. On the expenditure side, we anticipated $16,219,500. We spent $16,466,000, or $247,000 more than anticipated at this time. The numbers are running very similar to the previous 2 years in total, and in several of the categories as well are showing some very similar numbers. So I think that things are trending as we would anticipate right now. We're in the forecast period. We, in fact, started that work today, as I mentioned. We're working on a new software for that, and it's going to be a very powerful one, a lot of tools to it. So we'll be working towards that over the next month and have something to share with you. But that would be the financial report for the month of August.
okay. I think we have a motion on the table. Does anyone have any questions or comments from Mr. Hucall? Call the roll.
Mrs. Matthews,
Yes.
Mr. Sprague,
Yes.
Mr. Weigel,
Yes.
Mrs. Baker,
Yes.
Mr. Isger.
Yes.
Okay, before we move for adjournment, our next meeting, let's see here, will be October 15th. We're going to be an executive session from 4:30 until 5:15, is that right? Okay, and then we will go into work session, and then we'll work in you call that a hearing?
Yeah, we'll have a hearing at 6:15
6:15, okay.
is what I'm hearing, and I'll get that corrected.
And then we'll go into our normal, regular meeting. All right.
Mr. Weigel, can I say one thing?
Yes,
before we
please.
adjourn? I think it's important to understand that as we start opening up, we are going to give the ability for community members to visit our board meetings again, starting at our next board meeting. It'll be limited availability due to social distancing. Masks will be required, and we will have a limited number of community members but we are going to give that opportunity starting at our next board meeting, scheduled for October 15th. And so I think that's important to note.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. I appreciate that. If there's anything else for the good of the order, we'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, thank you. Thanks, Steve.